ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is, let's get that here. Whoops, hold on. It is Thursday, August 5th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. Okay. Oh, I'm so ready to color. I am ready. I hope you guys are too. La-da-dum. So good to see everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my Facebook peeps. They drop in. We have good chats. And we have a lot of fun. And welcome to my lurkers as well on Facebook. You guys lurk and watch. Hopefully you're learning something as well. Hello, Dorothy. Good to see everybody coming in. Just do me a favor and say something when you walk in so I know that comments are working without any problem. And also, welcome to my YouTube viewers. Good to see you guys as well. I'll see you when I upload. And we'll have a lot of fun with that as well. Hi, Mary. And Linda Hirschenroder. Hi, Linda. Sandy's here. Hello, Sandy. Good. All right. So I'm working on a couple, well, I've got several projects here. So let me start with this one. This is Enchanted Forest. And I've been working this one for you. This is a double page spread. I will have you know that I was in critical mass with my pencil, my blue pencil. Oh, I've got like this much of it left. Not much, not much. In doing this background. But I've been having a lot of fun with it. And for those of you that have just joined, hello Rhonda, Ashley, hello Sandy. Sandy, I can't wait till Saturday for that new book. The pencil is in what's called a pencil extender. And what you do is you open the end of it, you untwist it, and you put your short pencil in it. You know, when you've got a real short one. Let me find a short one here. And you put it in there, and then you tighten it up again. And it holds your pencil for you so that you have a longer grip. So that's what that is. And this little pencil here is getting so short, you know, I couldn't handle it. Yeah, it is on the affiliate list. So yeah. So this is the double page that I've been working on from Johanna Basford, Enchanted Forest. Hello, Julie. Zoom out. So I got the background done. I showed you how to do this tree where I did this each side and I reflected it on the other side. Hi Marianne, Moggy, right? Marianne Morangilio Manders. I added the yellow around the fairy. I put the stencil in my, the image in myself. Put another one down here with this around, so I'm still doing that. And I colored this fairy colors inside the light, and then everything on the outside I'm coloring with standard colors. And you can particularly see this in the tree where the split is. The tree's purple here. And up here it's the normal brown colors. So I just wanted to give you guys some ideas for your coloring. And I added this stencil here. I drew in the boy and the girl on the swing. Zoom in. Oh, why do you hate doing backgrounds, Marianne? Oh my gosh, yeah, they're integral. So I'll be coloring this. I'm doing it off camera because there's so many leaves and stuff. And I thought that that would get a little tedious. Oh my gosh, backgrounds. I find them to be very relaxing. And they are an integral part. Sandy, it should say pencil extender. Yeah, the blue is absolutely gorgeous. It's a PrismaColor 103, actually. Guys, do not be discouraged by your background. Oh my gosh, they really make your piece. So do you guys remember where I colored this, where I did one half? I would do one thing and then I would do the exact other, and you can see how that's making that tree look. It's pretty cool. So you guys know that I try to always do a little extra on my pieces. So I drew in the boy and the girl. I added the heart. I'll be coloring up the rose a little more. And then I put little hearts floating away. All right, zoom out. Oh, guys, please don't let backgrounds throw you. Sandy, you'll have to send me a text so I don't forget. And I'll be more than happy. Just pop me a text. Okay. Anybody have any questions about this? This is my coloring I do while I'm uploading videos. All right. This piece is from Countess Roses. This is by Dawn D. Boyer, and she and I did a duet coloring the other night. Oh my gosh, that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that too. Really nice lady. She's an administrator of my group as well. Very, very supportive of everything that we do. She's done a lot of things in the background for us. Now, for anybody new that's watching, sometimes I get booted out. Yeah, oh yeah, Mary, she comes back Occasionally, sure. In fact, sometimes she'll watch us in the background, and then as we're chatting away, she'll pop in. We love doing duet colorings together. You better believe she'll come back. And then the other thing I'll be doing later on is I'm going to be working on our Scarecrow. And I did a striped vest last night. I love how that came out. Oh my gosh, you guys are knocking your Scarecrow out of the park. I love it. I've seen the postings on it. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Oh, Mary, you told Ann and Deb about contacting me. Okay, cool. Yes, ma'am. I love having artists in here. I will be ramping up later this summer as summer winds down. Were you able to speak to them personally, or did you just send them messages? Okay, so I'm working on the turtle from Compass Roses. Zoom in. Zoom in. There we go. Oh, might go in twice. Yes, it did. Da-da. Okay. So let me pull a dark green. Give me a moment here. Mary Ann actually, yeah, Ann Manera's group, or Maria Waddell. Mary Ann has done some covers, book covers. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, and I want you to see, is just to be pretty dull if I just leave it the way it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start adding some shading on it. And I want you to see how the simple addition of some color on this outside makes it look absolutely beautiful. Did you see Mary Ann asked if you do Christmas pictures? Oh yes, I do. And guys, like I said, if I don't answer you, it's only because I missed you. So I really appreciate it when you guys catch up. Yes, I do Christmas pictures. Heck yes. And Sandy DeSanto just got us a beautiful book for the group. and I'll be doing a coloring out of it. It's called Christmas Florals, and it was on sale from Amazon for like, what, $2.46 or something like that. And guys, if you ever want me to color out of any particular book, you're welcome to purchase it for the group, and I will go ahead and color out of it. But I suggest that you contact me first to make sure that we don't have duplicates. I buy a lot of supplies for this group to show you guys stuff. So sometimes it's helpful if you want to contribute a book or two or a supply. That's wonderful. Oh, Julie, you keep losing your connection. Well, that's sucky. And what I started to say is if I get bumped off for some reason, give me about 5 minutes and I'll be right back on. Zoom in. So what I'm doing now is I'm going ahead and I'm adding my shading around the outside of the shells here that I drew in on Dawn's book. Welcome to everybody, all my new peeps. Please don't hesitate to chat. And if you're here just to watch the coloring for company, wonderful. Is there closed captioning on this? I don't believe that Facebook supports it. I could be wrong. But with this being a live broadcast, I don't think that's possible. Okay, now this pencil that I happen to be using happens to be the Brute Funner. Marianne, do you need closed captioning, or why are you asking, so that I know? What's that with the black pencil, Marianne? Are you talking about the gems? This pencil that I'm using right now is a dark green, the Brett Funner 139. Oh, you wear hearing aids and miss some of what I'm saying with the music in the background. Okay. I will turn it way down. This is a dark green. Zoom out. All right, let me pull out so you can see how this puppy's looking. Zoom out. Thank you, Marianne. Zoom in. I'm glad you liked the effect. I'm going to be doing one more thing on this that I want to show you guys. Now, the reason that I complete pieces on camera, now that double spread, I'm just doing I did the major portions of it, is because you guys overwhelmingly told me that you want me to complete things. And the reason, too, that that's a good thing is because I want you to see how something looks in the beginning versus when it's completed. Because something may look boring to you, and then when you get your coloring on and color it, it looks absolutely gorgeous. This is one of those things where you say don't judge a book by its cover. So don't judge an uncolored picture before you see it colored. A lot of people that are watching would use this time to color themselves. Oh, you like the square brush funners, really? Tell us about them, Marianne. So you'd recommend them? Okay, now guys, this is a little detail, but I want you to see this. See this area right here where I only colored on 3 sides because this ribbon scrolly thing is over the top? You want to watch for things like that, because that's the kind of details. Marianne says the square brush funners are smooth, easy to hold, and have deep colors. Okay. Zoom in. Got a little bit over the edge here. Hello, Angela. Angela is in Australia. It's morning for her. I think about, what, 10:30? Yeah. Good day, mate. How you doing? Love my Aussies. Now, one of the most common questions is, what are the best pencils? Well, pencils are very subjective. One person may like Prismas because they're soft. Another person may not like them because they're soft. And really what you need to do, Angela's getting her printer today. You go, girl. And Rhonda, that's very accurate, because she says, what's funny, I've watched ILene make really inexpensive pencils look just as good as polychromos. That's right. I don't want you guys to get hung up on expensive pencils or feel bad because you can't afford the more expensive pencils. Sooty Style is a very cheap pencil, and I've used that. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, there you go. Now, I'm going to take my green, my dark green, and I'm going to put a very, very light shade over the top of these. I mean, just butterfly kiss with this. Very, very light. Hello, Tammy. Marianne says she likes the cheap pencils, Crazy Art, Rose Art, Crayola. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. I'm using the same color that I put the edges on. on the shell. So the same green, very, very light here. I'm barely touching it. This is a Brett Funner 139. Okay, now, what I want you to notice that's happening here is that the turtle and the outlaying plant thingies here are starting to complement each other. The turtle is showing up beautifully with the greens and the blues. Wanda had suggested the blue last night, and I love the idea. Yeah, and I did intend them to look like glass. Those are all supposed to be gems embedded in them. So his head is all glass, his fins as well. So if you go back a couple, which are now videos in the group, I showed you exactly how to do it. Okay. So I'm going to tidy up a little bit here. I like to try and keep my surfaces clean. Zoom in. Zoom in. Sea kelp, that's what I've been trying to say. All right. So we don't want to get too many conflicting greens and blues and, you know, all sorts of wonky colors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a light grayish green on the shell. This is a Mirage Gray. It also happens to be a Brett Funner. And as I always tell you guys, when you're deciding to put in a color, you tint in the first color. And what that means is you don't come in, let's say I knew that I wanted to make a dark gray out of this. Well, that's fine, but you want to come in and tint your gray in before you make your final decision. And the reason that you do that, there's two reasons. Number one, if you come in with a dark color first off, you completely take away your ability to tweak it and to design in new colors. So as I'm putting in this lighter gray, it may turn out that that's what I want to leave it. The second reason why you don't want to come in with a dark color is that when you're coloring with pencils, you want to come in and you want to be able to do layers. And if you come in dark the first time, you take away your ability to continue with several layers. Does that make sense? Because after a while, if you get too many layers on your piece, you're going to start getting wax bloom. And that's where it won't accept any more color. And your pigment is no longer a nice smooth color. Now, I don't know if this has ever been explained like that to you, to some of you, but this is exactly why I have this group, is to talk about stuff like that. Now, I thought about doing a gray on the shell here, on the back part of the shell. Excuse me, green, green, green. Hello, Rita. Rita from Guatemala, who is now in Santa Fe. So by coming in with this gray now, that lets me continue with my ideas here as to what I want to do with it. Anybody have any questions about what I'm saying? And don't be shy about questions, guys. All right. Now, the other thing that I want to show you boy, that's beautiful. I love how this is turning out. The other thing I want to show you, I do not believe in coloring in flat colors, which means just color this in with gray and that's it. You guys know this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a darker gray. A darker gray. Let's see here. And this happens to be a master gray, number 425, which is neither here nor there, unless you have this brand of pencil. Because I sort my pencils by color and not by brand. Now, watch this. I'm going to come in with my darker gray. And I'm going to color in segments. So I'll do a little gray, darker gray here. And remember, when you want to darken a color, you do it with repeated strokes. You don't jam your paper, your pencil into the paper. That's not the way to darken a color. You do it with repeated strokes. And if you're not getting the darkness that you want, it just means you've got to get a different pencil. Zoom in. So what I want you to see now is that I've got this darker gray, and I'm actually creating several shades. A darker gray with this, and a slightly lighter gray with the darker gray, all over my first gray. Does that make sense? So this is my first layer of gray. Here's my second layer. And I'm just picking a couple spots here to darken it. And then within those spots that I'm darkening, I'm making it darker yet. So I've got all sorts of shading going on here. Now, sometimes one brand doesn't play nice with another brand. And you might get a little bit of buildup, so you can gently scrape that away with your fingernail. Does everybody see what I'm doing with this darker color? Zoom out. Does anybody have any questions about what I'm doing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't just say yes if you don't. Okay, so see right here? I colored this, zigzagged this way, zigzagged again this way. And all I'm doing is I'm darkening in the various areas a little darker, and then I'm darkening in those areas a little bit. And don't be shy if you have questions about it. Now, one thing about using black, guys, you've got to be very, very careful. I rarely use black because black is a very harsh color. And sometimes new colorists, when I'm doing something like this, they think, oh, okay, black. No, you want to use your grays. Oh man, is that coming out beautifully? And you can also see that by doing this with the gray in between, it's really popping out those edges around my gems. And I like that a lot. Zoom out. Okay, I missed a blue area right here. How many hours a day do I color? Well, 3 for sure while I'm broadcasting, and then probably another 2 or 3 while I'm uploading video. So probably about 5 to 6 maybe hours. Okay. So I guess the answer to that is a lot. Well, thank you, Linda. Now, if you don't like this particular piece, what I would say to you is that's perfectly fine. And if you don't really like how I put the gems on the back, that's fine too. But what I've shown you is how to do gems. So you don't have to necessarily like the individual piece that I'm doing, but I want you to learn from the components that I have done. All right, so now I've got these little flag things that Dawn put in. got a little area that I missed here. Zoom in. Oh, okay, Angela. Angela, if you follow the steps that I showed you, you should have very similar results. It's boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I took this red and laid down my initial red, and now I'm going to come back and put this pink on top of it. Now, this is another way to blend. Zoom in. And it creates a unique color. Look how beautiful that looks. And don't forget, if you guys ever need me to get closer when you're looking at something, just ask me. And if I miss your comment, somebody else can tell me. I think I'm pretty good about catching them all. Especially the compliments. Oh my. Alright, so I'm putting orange and pink together, which is fun. Actually, slight boo-boo there. Hold on. I think that's supposed to be one of these little flag thingies. Okay, so let's try this again, because it's got a straight, this is the pink. And then I'll put my red on top of it, like I did earlier on this previous one here. Guys, one of the best things you can do for yourself to help you with your blending is to play with blending with 2-color pencils. And that way, your pieces will always look very smooth and you'll have unique colors. So, Rhonda says, ILene, I'm so happy I'm doing some experimenting with part of the turtle. Yay! I don't know if it's going to work, right? But happy I'm getting some confidence to try. Oh, Rhonda, yes. Yes! Woohoo! And people ask me a lot what the #1 thing is they need to learn. And I would say blending. You've got to be able to blend your colors so that you don't have lines in your pieces. And now see how I've got a little bit of popcorn effect here? Rhonda, that is so great. And you know, Rhonda, it may not work. But then you try again. Okay, see how that looks uneven? So now I'm going to go ahead and go over it with my darker color. And you can do it either way. You can lightly put a darker color down and then put a lighter color on top of it. Oh, is that pretty? Zoom out. Okay. Let me see if I can get this turtle up right here for you. Okay, darker color. Lighter color on top. Either way, decide what you like best. Oh my gosh, guys, we're almost done with this little puppy. La da da da. Okay, now done. Let's see. I'm going to extend this line. And then that'll make this make more sense to me. So I'm just going to make a larger flag out of it here. This is why I don't want you guys to be afraid of marking in your books. You know, artists make oopsies as well. Okay, so I've got my pink first. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave that white around the outside of the gems. I don't know if I verbally finished that thought or not. Hopefully I did. I may have just trailed off. Okay, so I've got my pink down, and now I'm going to go back over with my red. Oh, what a pretty color. Zoom in. And by the way, when you make an addition like that, wait a little longer for the ink to dry. I didn't wait long enough, and it's pulled up some of the ink into the coloring. That was my mistake that I made on purpose to show you. Okay. And I've got happy accident. Not that one. That was a mistake. Okay, so I just need to get this done here. There we go. And we've got a little piece here. White pens are a pain. Not at all. I use my Arteza and I absolutely love them. What's going on, Angela? Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay. I forgot one flag. And by the way, guys, my regulars know this. If I miss something, don't be afraid to tell me. Ooh, Angela says, I've got Arteza pens. Wow, my printer just arrived. The truck is here. Well, don't go away to set it up. We want you here. As she runs to go meet the truck. Okay. Zoom out. Zoom out. %98 done, guys. Let me grab some water. Yep, I'll be putting in a background. Okay. Let me grab something here. Now, I need to do the eyes. I'm going to show you a little trick. Some of you, it does look good as it is. And right, if you want to leave it like this, that's fine. Let me roll this backwards, though. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give our turtle some blue eyes. Zoom in. Zoom in. All right. So the way that I'm going to do the eyes is I'm going to come in with, let's see how close I need to get for you. Zoom in. Zoom in. There you go. Little spots of blue. Dark blue. And then I'm going to put some lighter blue on that. And I'm going to color over the lines around the outside because we don't walk around with black circles around our eyes. All right, let's see. And then I'm going to do this one. And then I'm going to come in with my light blue. I did not do green for a reason. Because we've got the green turtle, we need to differentiate the eyes a little bit. And then I'm going to brush that off. And then I'm going to take my black pen and I'm going to emphasize the eyes. And if my hand doesn't accidentally jerk like it does sometimes, I'll still have the white center. Don't you hate that when you're coloring and you have a tight spot and then all of a sudden your hand goes whoop? Okay. One of these days I'll learn to do it on the left-hand side first because I'm right-handed and I don't get my right hand into my previous work. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, one more step. Zoom out. I'm going to take a little bit of, some of you know I already do this. Holographic cellophane. This is a little trick you may not know. And I'm going to cut it up into teeny, teeny, tiny pieces. Julie says, whenever I use my gel pens, my right hand is so pretty. Yeah. Hold on. And as long as I don't sneeze, or as long as one of my cats don't jump up, we will be in good shape. Okay. Now, for those of you that have never seen this before, hi Amy. Hold on, I smeared a little bit of my black pen. I'll recolor that in a minute. And I'm going to take a little bit of my glue. It's simply my Elmer's clear washable glue. I also have an Elmer's gel, washable no run gel. And I'll take one of my toothpicks and I'm going to take my cellophane piece and glue that around the outside of the eye. And what that does is that creates a really neat shine. There you go. Isn't that cool? And because it's the holographic, you'll get a really neat reflection from the eye. Anybody have any question or comments about what I'm doing with this stuff? On the turtle's neck down by the shell. Oh, yeah, these two areas. Yes, ma'am, thank you. That looked wonky, doesn't it? Thank you, Julie. Zoom out. Everybody see now that nice shine that the eyes have? And all I did was I took the holographic cellophane and glued it around the outside. But be sure you color it first. So if you've never done that before or never thought of it, now you got something new. All right, let me get some green on that neck. There we go. I totally missed it. And then let me go ahead and fix my orange real quick here, where I had to erase. There we go. All right. Zoom out. Hello, Dorothy. She says she's been busy working on her grayscale picture. Anybody have any question about using the holographic cellophane to shine up the eyes? Hopefully that was something new that you saw. Okay. Let me put my that away so I don't knock it all over someplace. And then I'm going to be working on the grayscale picture in a little bit. All right. Thank you, Dorothy. I'm glad you like my turtle. 2 more quick things I'm going to do, and then I am done. Okay. Now, I have purchased some sponge tip applicators, which I absolutely love. They're 3 inches long, and they're really good for me because I have larger hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of a tint of gray on the outside here. Very, very light, and in fact, you may not even be able to see it on camera. Zoom in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get blue from my hand on my page. Hold on. And what I'm doing, and I don't know, like I said, if you can catch this and see it, but as I put the gray on, I'm not filling in the color completely. I'm letting it go on as little swirls. Somebody will have to let me know whether they can see this or not. Oh, Ashley said that she's been doing some lovely eyeshadow skin tones lately. Excellent. Okay, Rhonda says not really showing up. Okay, so you're going to have to trust me, guys, that it's there. And what it is because I'm not doing it in a solid coloring. It's going on in little circles, actually. Zoom in. All right, can you guys see that? Ashley, how have your skin tones been coming out with your eyeshadow? And remember, Ashley, that's just for your base color. Then you've got to go back in with your pencil. Okay, Sandy says she can see it. It almost looks like smoke in the background. The way that I'm putting it on. Like I said, I'm not letting it go on in a solid color. It looks like little poofies. Oh, cloud. Oh boy, that's a technical description. Poofies. Mary says, I think my pencil sharpener is getting ready to die. It's only 10 years old. Are you going to get a Linkio, Mary? What brand is it, Mary? How cool is that if it's 10 years old? I will ride this one until the last spit of fire, she says. Good for you. Zoom out. Eye point. Okay. Zoom out. Okay, see if you guys can see my little swirlies of eyeshadow. Okay. I've heard that eye point is very good. Okay. One last thing. And then we're going to be coloring a scarecrow. La-da-dum. Excuse me while I clean up a little bit. There we go. All right. Now, I'm going to take a second to spray this with my Krylon. Before I add my last element. Mary says that Ben got it at Staples one year for Christmas for you. Well, don't give up on Ben after 10 years. Okay, let me spray here. And except for my last add-on, guys, there we go. Okay, so I found on Amazon these little starfish. And they are real starfish. And they're really neat because they come in this plastic container to protect them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of plastic waste here, but Ooh, and I know what I'm going to use this case for too. How cool is that? So these are real. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two or three to my piece. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to turn a couple of them upside down because I think the upside down pattern is really pretty. What do you guys think of this? And you don't need to add many at all. You know that I'm always telling you, don't get stupid with your embellishments. So Mary says, love them. Hold on, I want to see the rest of the comment here. She says, love them. I always add little things to my pics. Okay. Advice from Marty Woods. The artist makes it harder for someone to steal your pictures. Oh, okay. Oh, Mary says she's got a seahorse. Yep. There, I think that's the spots here. And Mary Ann says she's got a snap plastic box from Michael's with compartments. Yeah. Okay, so let me go ahead and start gluing these into place. Mary Ann says seashells from Dollar Tree, a whole bag for $1. Exactly, guys. Now, as I keep saying to you, don't get stupid with your embellishments and don't add them just to add them, right? And with the starfish being as brittle as they are, I would try to sink them in as much glue as possible. And Mary says she always looks for stuff at yard sales and thrift stores. Exactly. Sometimes in the free box. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry. Zoom out. And I'm calling this one done. Anybody have any questions or comments? And if you're concerned about your little dollops of glue, what you can do is just take a toothpick and push that little extra bit underneath the arms of your shelf. Hey, Jojo. And before I finish this and set it up to the side, good day, Jojo. Give me one more second here. I also have, I'm doing great. Bear with me, guys, because I really want to show you this. Hold on. I had also purchased a little bag of seashells. There we go. Okay. I have a little box of tiny, tiny seashells. And these are from Panda Hill Elite Craft Seashells. And if you want to carry on the theme just a little bit more. Now again, this is where I always say to you, don't get stupid with your embellishments and add them just to add them. So I'm going to take a little bit of dollops here. And add a couple of these. Now, again, you hear me say this all the time, don't get stupid with stuff. Hello, Wanda. Wandy. Now, if you want to be conventional with your coloring and not add stuff like this, oh guys, perfectly okay, of course. Oh man, guys, look at the difference now that this is making. I hope that you can see that. Hey, Melba. So I'm probably going to put on maybe a couple more and that'll be it. Questions, comments, like, don't like. Oh, Dawn, hello, sweetie. I really think that that's going to be about it. Let me put it. So Dawn, am I doing your piece justice? Oh, Melba, glad to see you. Oh, thank you, Dawn. My gosh. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put a shell right on the turtle shell. See, Dawn, when you reissue Compass Roses, then you can use this piece. Oh my, I'm so silly. Okay, this has to be the last one. It really does. Okay, guys, there you go. So I added real starfish to this. I showed you those pieces. And these come packaged in these cases here. And then I added the little teeny tiny shells. And like I said, guys, don't get stupid with your embellishments, okay? Dawn Denise Boyer is in the room. Anybody have any questions? Do I need to zoom in on anything? And I added a very light grayish swirly background. The center section I left as the gray on the back, light gray with some shading. And I didn't color the very area right next to each gem. I just left that the way it is. And I added the holographic cellophane for the eyes. Questions, comments? And most importantly, would you do something like this? Does it give you some ideas for some of your other pieces? Oh, I'm going to get the hiccups. Okay, when that stuff dries, then of course I'll date it and that'll be it. So Mary Ann says, I like the gray. I have to learn to use more grays. Yes. They are my tallest pencils. There you go. Please do not underuse your grays, guys. And don't forget about adding black. You know that I like to add black too. Okay. My turtle is going to go swimming away. And we've got our Scarecrow. Oh, I'm such a silly girl. So Dawn, when you thank you, Wanda. When you reissue Compass Roses, are you going to use my piece? Oh. I am bad. I'm bad to the bone. Bad, bad, Leroy Brown. Okay. Let's play with our grayscale. Now again, you guys you don't have to like what I'm doing. I just want you to learn the technique. That's my concern. I have, like I always say, I have no ego in this. Okay. I know Compass Rose's book is already published. I'm just playing with you, Dawn. Okay. So the last thing I did on this is I did the handle, Yeah, and Marianne, don't forget, if you don't mind or if you are so inclined, it's on the affiliate list as well. And that purchase will help the group. Zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to work on this little bottom part of my bucket. And Marianne ought to like this because I'm going to work with my grays. Don't give up on your grays, Marianne. Now guys, don't forget on your grayscale, very important that you remember this, you don't take a pencil and you don't just color over a wide area with it. Using one pencil with that gray and calling that grayscale coloring. No. You want to pull, and this is just like you're doing with line art. You want to pull a light, a medium, and a dark. Carolyn, hello. I bought one. I bought the set and I absolutely love it. Okay, well, Marianne, you're going to see how I'm doing it right now because I'm doing it right here on this bucket handle. Excuse me, bucket strap. So guys, what I don't want to see you doing, like I said, is just taking one pencil and coloring over the gray in a grayscale and thinking that that's grayscale coloring. No. As I was saying, just like with your line art, you want to do a light, medium, dark. Oil-based, Carolyn. And Wanda says that hers has been shipped out of Virginia, so she should have hers very shortly. Excellent. Okay, now see how I'm using this gray on grayscale, guys? Yeah, well, I think it's like $106 for 520 pencils. Do the math. But yeah, it's an outlay. Zoom in. Now, I'm actually putting a little white on this to give me the contrast, because the white going on the gray is going to come up a light gray. $130 now. Really? Darn. Probably because people started buying them and they decided to raise the price. Wanda, how much did you pay for yours from AliExpress? Okay, everybody see how I'm doing coloring gray on grayscale, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And then I'm softening it by using my lightest color, which happens to be the white, over the entire thing, and that's looking very metallic. Dawn said she saw 127. Oh, man. Wanda, 121? Oh. Well, excuse me for saying this, but boy, that sucks. So I'm doing this in gray, guys, because I want you to see how terrific gray looks on grayscale. And if that doesn't look metallic, I don't know what does. Rhonda, there's your metallic look for your nights. Wanda, do you want to answer that question that Carolyn has? She's wondering how the oil pencils compare to PrismaColor. Oh man, look at that, how that gray looks. And don't overblend it or else it's going to look mushy. Zoom out. Zoom out. Look at that. Is that not cool? Now, I noticed when some of you are posting your grayscales that you're not blending your colors completely. Guys, they've got to be blended. And yes, the wire on the handle. Thank you, Wanda. And look at the bird tail I left accidentally. First layer on that gray was the Sooty Style, which is a very cheapy pencil, color 121. And yes, you can mix oil and wax pencils. Ashley. And I agree with what Wanda's saying, that the Prismas are a little more soft and creamy. And yes, oil pencils blend differently than wax. Different brands from brand to brand blend differently. So really the bottom line question is, would I recommend Brett Funner? Yes. Wanda, would you recommend Brett Funner? Zoom in. So let me go ahead and do the little handle part now. So I'm hitting up my dark. Zoom in. And then I'll put my medium on there. And then I will brush and I will put my light on. And I'll tell you what, as soon as I get that white on, boom, that's what makes it look cool. There, oh yeah, there's 100, yes, there is a wide range of colors. You know, guys, that's the same thing as to why I get different brands of pencils, because they have the different colors in them. I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of similar blues and I've got a boatload of green, but I love having the wide range. Okay, I forgot the bird tail. Marianne, why didn't you get the Brett Funners 180? Because why, they were similar to the other pencil. So there's my dark blue. Okay, gotcha. And there's my medium blue. And then my light. And now our bird has a tail. Ha ha! Okay. Zoom out. There you go. I love how that metal bracket looks, and I love how that handle looks. And I'm so glad that that excited you guys. Okay, bird footy. I'm just going to go ahead and tap on some of my grays here. Who are you talking to, Wanda, about the printer? I've got an HP. ILene has the Epson ink tank, which is wonderful. You fill that up and you can make buku prints with it. Oh, don't apologize, ILene. We need to all be participating in that conversation. So let me work on this flower real quick, and then I'm going to pop up. I've got a cardinal and I've got corn to do. All right, let me pull my colors. So again, when you're doing your grayscale, pull a dark, a medium, and a light of your colors. And the special thing that I'm doing with this particular flower is I'm outlining it in a little bit of yellow. I may use a slightly different color for this second one. Jojo says she's got them as well, been on a spending spree of a lifetime. Hey guys, do me a favor. When you're talking about stuff, so Jojo, when you say I got them as well, would you please just state what the them is so everybody knows? Carolyn says, oh dang it, I guess I'll get them. I'm just so used to my PrismaColor pencils. I'm still learning on the castle art. Oh boy. Carolyn, how are you doing medically? What did they find out? Wanda, I understand that, but I only see a small portion while I'm coloring, and I have to scroll back up every time, which I can't do because I'm just trying to color all the time. So in other words, I'm just not an active participant in the scrolling and the texting. Okay, I'm adding, instead of the yellow, I am adding this peach as my highlighting color. And remember guys, pencils are very subjective. One person may love PrismaColor and the next person may say, oh, yuck, you know? Rhonda Green says, what's the matter with you, ILene? You mean you can't do 4 things at once? Thank you, Marianne. She was commenting on the watercolor Arteza. Gotcha. Hey, I can hardly walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. But it does help people that are looking at the conversation after the fact that they can see what the thread is. Okay, so I've got a lighter color here. Ooh, Jojo says I've got the Derwent Pro Color and Derwent Artist arriving today. Got the Inktense and ChromaFlow as well. Wow. Jojo, what's the deal there? Did you like rob a bank or something? I mean, you know. Yeah, Carolyn fell and had to have it was either the MRI or a CT scan. So I was just wondering how she was doing. Okay. So here are my highlight colors. I did it yellow on my other flower. And this time I'm doing it in this peach color. Now, I'm still going to do zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. I'm still going to do now my light, my medium, and my dark. So Jojo said you're finally debt-free and Dan has a new job, so you thought you'd spoil yourselves. Oh, that's wonderful. So happy for you. Okay, so in doing this coloring now, I'm seeing my light spots a little better, so I'm going to go ahead and do those first. This is what Wanda says that she does, is she likes to do her lights and darks, and then her mediums. Jojo, I know that you and Dan have been working towards that for a long time. That is just phenomenal. I'm so happy for you. So Carolyn said, Doc took me out of the immobilizer and I'm wearing an ace bandage wrapped up. Okay. Trying to dissolve the hematoma. Yep. Because it's gooey pudding and jello at this point. Yep. And Doc says we'll talk about the other once the swelling is gone. All right. Well, Carolyn, will you keep us updated, please? You've been gone for a while. Well, Jojo, I'm just so happy for you. Okay, now remember, these are my lights spot. The other color that I put on was my highlights. And I want you to remember that sometimes grayscale printing doesn't come out all that well. Yeah, that's right. Dawn and her husband are under a lot of pressure because of their expenses and the moving and the 2 houses and the renovations and the traveling and Okay, so if your grayscale printing is mushy, this is where you need to get a little bit creative. And take your best shot. So here's my darks. Yes, I have the Crayola Colors of the World pencils. They're very, yeah, they're very waxy though, and to me they were difficult to blend. I think that Crayola meant them more for kids and not necessarily colorists. Okay, Ashley, she said BRB. Sandy says we just did the whole inside of our house. My hubby is retiring the end of this month. Okay. And we'll be on a different budget. Yeah, Jojo said they did, ILene. They made them for kids. They are very waxy. So Dawn says one is the retirement place and the other is the husband's crash pad where he works nearby, about 90 miles away from the retirement farm. Total of 5,100 square feet of total renovations needed. Okay, Dawn. Dawn had a short little video on Facebook. She set up one of those little solar water fountains. It is so neat. Okay, everybody see now how I'm blending these colors together. I'm using my dark right now. Because the grayscale is indicating the dark here on these petals. And what I started to say is because of the printing quality, sometimes you can't tell where your light, medium, and dark is. Don't worry about that. Use your coloring skills to compensate. Yeah, Dawn said that she had to use my good, all cap letters, skillet for the bath. Oh, I hope you do set up your solar fountain, Carolyn, for your hummingbirds. Dawn said that she'd been saving up for retirement farm for 10 years, paid cash, no mortgage, but we spend more for renovations. Woohoo! Okay, now when you're doing grayscale like this, guys, you're doing this in steps. This is not a wham bam thank you ma'am type deal. And actually same with straight line art coloring. You're putting in your colors. Look how pretty this is turning out. Oh yeah, and then of course for Dawn and Jim, it didn't help that plywood pricing went through the roof. Ha, no pun intended. Oh my gosh, went to get gasoline today. $2.74 a gallon, which is unheard of in Tennessee. Carolyn said, my husband just asked why I needed 520 colored pencils. I told him, why does he need 4 toolboxes? Toolboxes of tools, that's right. Plywood up $85 a piece. Sandy said $3.15 for a gallon for gas. Oh. Carolyn says paying $2.89, and they have a Valor fuel plant right there. Oh. Okay, notice that I'm working my way through on my petals. I've got my light and my dark on here. I'm not worried right now about my speckling of my colored pencils. That will be taken care of shortly. Cool. Sandy said, got an email. Your book is arriving early tomorrow. Oh, cool. I feel like a little kid. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, yay. So I promised Sandy that I would go ahead and wait until Sunday to color out of it so she can color with us and with me. Okay, so now I'm going to take my medium pencil, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, Oh, yours is coming next Wednesday. Ooh. So now I'm going over with my medium pencil. And when I zoom back in, you will be able to see that all of that popcorn is disappearing. Zoom in. My brush funners went in with my other pencils. I have a pencil rack that's in of all my different colors that's sitting within arm length of me. Popcorn, Carolyn, is when little white speckles show through. Zoom in. Zoom in. See it right here? And you can see it here, you can see it here. And so what I'm doing now is when I'm blending now with my medium color, is all of that is going away. And what's happening is the pigment is sitting on top of the tooth of the paper. It's not going down into it. See how that goes away now? Zoom out. Now, I'll say it again, and I've said it a million times. If this were a line art picture, these are the same kind of colorings and shadings you should be doing. And as your coloring gets better and you're looking at pictures, you'll know to put highlights around the outside, for example. Zoom out. Yeah, so Wanda says she'll be ordering 3 of the cases that she loves. She chooses the colors from swatch sheets so she keeps them organized. I know right where to find a particular color pencil. Now, I hope you guys read that article on paper tooth that I put in the announcements and also posted in the group. When a good paper has tooth, it holds on to your color and it also allows you to put multiple layers. Zoom out. Isn't that pretty? And the trick to your coloring is your layering. Beginners get really flustered by that concept because they don't understand it and they think that it's complicated. It is not. And what has happened now with this grayscale and these different colors is the flower is picking up the subtle shades, the subtle different shades. Thank you, Jojo. People are afraid that the layering is going to wipe out the color beneath it. No, it won't. I mean, you can't layer forever, obviously, but it's not going to wipe out what you're trying to do. Zoom in. So on my little flowers now, I'll go ahead and dab up with my yellow. Now, when you got a teeny tiny area like this, I don't even worry about it. I'm just scrubbing in some yellow here. So for that, I'm just depending on the paper to give those little teeny tiny flowers their look. And then I'm going through Carolyn says, I have a 300 count with my miscellaneous pencils and colored markers. And now I'm going ahead and using, and this is one of the rare cases where I'm going ahead and using black instead of my dark gray, because I want to get that black in there to distinguish with the center of the flower. Oh, Carolyn says, ooh, ILene, I found that stand-up thingy you love there at Walmart for makeup brushes. Yep, yep, yep. Zoom out. Yeah. Isn't that great? I love mine. I think that they're in the diamond painting section and the craft section. Where did you find yours, Carolyn? Okay, so there's my black. And I'm just going to put my finger on there and just smudge it a teeny tiny bit. Oh, I love how this is turning out. Rhonda loves her. Oh, by the checkout. How cool was that? Okay, let's get a little bit of this corn done before I pop off for the evening. Carolyn says she got 2 pink ones. Good. Yeah, I had to get a bright color so I would see it. Let me grab a little water and then I'm going to do a corn stalk real quick. How much did you pay for them, Carolyn? Walmart's going to wonder why they're having a slight run on their holders. I think they're like $4 or $5 at Walmart, I'm guessing. I got mine from Amazon, so I ended up paying more, which is fine. Just threw them in the buggy. Okay. Okay, light, medium, and dark green. Guys, are you picking up what I'm saying about grayscale and the light, medium, and dark on the grayscale, and that's the same thing that you should be doing on your line art? Because if you start doing on your line art what you do on grayscale, which gives you, it shows you where to color, your everyday coloring on line art is going to just absolutely explode as far as quality. Okay, let's do a little bit of the corn. Zoom in. Zoom in. I want you to connect the dots on that concept. Okay, so just to change things up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do my light areas first. Again, this is what Rhonda says she likes to do. Now, I really don't have any dark in this particular piece, but I am going to go ahead and put a little dark in the bottom right here. Near my sunflower. That color is a PrismaColor 913, and I do not like this dark green. Hold on, I got to make a little correction. don't like that green at all. Too much blue in it. So hold on a second while I grab a darker green, different dark green. La da da da. Oh, much better. My bad. Okay, let's try that again. So the author didn't indicate the shading here. I'm putting it in. Okay, that's my dark. And then my medium. That's where I'm saying don't, you've got to follow the guidelines, but also use your judgment. Zoom in. Okay, so this is my medium green right now. Because on this particular piece, there's only really the medium and the light. Now, I'm putting my medium green down here, and if you see a couple of areas that you feel need to be colored in as light, put your medium down and go ahead and put that light in. Because sometimes you may think that you're done with your light, and you're not. Especially right here where I missed. And then at this point, you can decide whether you want to go over the piece. So now we're going to blend, all right? And you can decide whether you're going to blend with your medium or with your light. Does not matter which one. So what I'm telling you is that there is steps to doing grayscale coloring, but sometimes there's an exception to that. Wanda says she likes to blend with her medium. I like to blend with my light. It just depends how you want the piece to look. I don't want you to be like a mindless robot and say, well, ILene said to do this, da-da-da-da-da-da. It is so dependent on your piece. Does that make sense what I'm saying? In other words, don't get mindless when you're coloring. I feel like I'm talking in circles. Okay. As long as you guys understand it, we're good. I don't want you to not follow format, but I don't want, okay. I want you to follow format, but I don't want you to follow it mindlessly if the situation calls for it. There we go. I got it. Ha. Okay, so I'm going to put my light in right here. And remember, in grayscale, the light, the medium, and the dark are all contextual to each other. So there's my light. Whoop. Good grief, get on camera, ILene. Yeah, blending mediums are absolutely wonderful. The mineral oil, for example. In one, Carolyn says, in one class we use blending mediums, which is a really cool way of shading. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so here's my dark. And again, I'm deliberately changing up the sequence that I'm doing this because I want you to see it doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. So light is done. I'm doing dark now, and what's going to be left is medium. And it really would help if I stayed on camera. Hello, Maria. Good night, Dawn. Love you, sweetie. Hugs and kisses. Maria, welcome. I absolutely do not use Vaseline because it's that petroleum based and breaks down. Baby oil, I tend not to use. I just don't use it for neither here nor there. I will use the mineral spirits. Maria, welcome. I don't think you've been with us before, have you? So now I'm coloring in all my little dark parts. Now again, I want you to imagine that this is line art and pretend that this whole piece is line art. And this is how you would be coloring it, to be adding your different shades in here to make it look really great. This is how your pieces will start to look in line art when you're starting to get your coloring skills up there. Now Marianne says she puts a cotton ball in a baby jar, yep, and put some baby oil in it and dab the point. Yep, yep. I've read too many articles saying that Vaseline is not a good blending. It used to be popular years back in the coloring groups, and then people started to realize how damaging it was. Oh my gosh, Maria, yes, 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 yes. And you said that he can't, Mario, right? And you said that he contacted you because you hadn't heard from him for a long time? How is he doing? I want to say Mario or Nicholas or Nico. Nico. That was it. Oh my gosh. You know, it's so funny. I got to stop coloring for a second. Listen, Maria, I couldn't remember who that was, which was you. And I was remembering the young man's name is like Nicholas or Mario or Nicholas, and you said it's Nico. Right after you got off the group. Yep. And I was thinking about you yesterday, of all things, and wondering how things turned out. And he called you. Oh, Maria, update us, please. Please, please, please. Okay, medium color. Oh, Maria, I am just so glad and relieved now that you're back in here. How are things going? Okay, guys, blending with my medium color now. Maria, can I text you after I go off air? Okay, everybody see now I'm using my medium color and blending with that. This is the format that Wanda tends to use. Maria, how is he doing now? Okay, now, with this particular medium color, which happens to be a master pencil, it's not blending my green as much as I would like it to. And my green is looking stripy. And that's going to happen sometimes. Okay, so Maria says, yes, text me after or call me on Facebook. I will. I text with one finger, laying down, it's hard. Okay, I have gotten a message from him. He said he will get a phone and call me when he does, then disappeared. Okay. Okay, but Carolyn, it's more of an issue with brand of pencil, I have found, than it is with being wax or oil based. So I'm going to take my PrismaColor Nope. I'm going to take my shuttle art and I'm going to lightly blend over this to smooth out this color. So Carolyn, I don't feel it's an oil versus wax issue. It is brands of pencils. And sometimes I've had that problem with Master. So Maria said I messaged him on Facebook first, adding him as a friend. I found him. Okay, so you've made contact now and he knows how to get a hold of you. Have no clue where he physically is. So I'm going to work on this green a little bit to spread it out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my white and this is my PrismaColor, and just add a little bit more highlight right here. Everybody see how I'm doing that? So if you have an area where your color, specifically in this case the green, is getting a little mushy or is not behaving, take your white in the appropriate areas. See how I'm doing this here? And Carolyn says, understand, but at least you know that he is still living. We'll pray for him and you as well. And I'm going to do that before I sign off tonight. So you can take your white pencil and go over your medium area and lighten up those areas that were getting a little problematic. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see how cool that looks now? And I'm going to take a little bit of white right here on this other one and add in little highlights because it's corn. Isn't that cool? Now it's got to be image appropriate. Don't just add white to add white. And this is going to make a lot more sense when we get more of the corn pieces colored. Angela's new printer just arrived. Good. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you to take a break with me for a second. Maria is here. I've been wondering about her and her son Nico, who she does not know where he is, but he's been in contact with her. And the last time that we prayed, he called her. So I'm going to ask you to please take this moment with me. If you don't care to partake, that's fine. Just pop off. Love you guys. We'll see you, the rest of you, tomorrow. Lord God, in the holy name of Jesus Christ, We are praying over Nico, who is Maria Trisart's son. Lord God, Nico is in the throngs of a bad addiction. He is being satanically constrained. And I ask you to send your angels down to him and to pull him out of that and get him back in touch with Maria. Lord God, this family is in serious upheaval and in serious need. Lord God, she said that she had an issue with her depression that has been cleared. Excellent. With depression and some other issues. But Lord God, I ask you, damn it, I ask you, I beg you, to go grab Nico and get him and pull him back into the realm of where he needs to be and get him the help that he needs, Lord God, please. A number of us in this group are coming to you and asking for this. I pray that they are now praying out loud, that they are speaking this prayer, a prayer, verbally and out loud for Nico to bring him back to Maria. Lord God, it vexes me to hear these things going on. And we desperately need you to intercede in this. I've got people in this room who are true believers, and I am asking them right now, as I said, to verbally speak out right now as I pray, and to pray the prayer covering Nico and getting him back where he needs to be. Lord God, I thank you so much. I thank you so much for this opportunity. And I thank you for my fellow colorists who are staying with me and are praying with me to have this happen for Maria. Lord God, I thank you so much. And I beg you to listen to this and to act on it in your will. In Jesus Christ, amen. Woo! All right, Maria, well, I've got the info. Okay, good. I've got the information that I need, Maria, so I probably won't be in touch this evening. But will you please keep me informed as to what's happening and going on with him? All right, guys. I think we had a great coloring evening. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. I'm glad I was able to show you how to do that gray and silver with grayscale on both the band and handle. I think it looks really cool. Maria, would you please make it more of a point? Okay, Maria, will you please make it more of a point to come in? I need you to come into this group and enjoy yourself and relax and get your mind off of some of this stuff. We've petitioned God on your behalf, and now we'll wait and see what happens. All right, guys, love ya. I love how this corn is turning out. I hope you learned something. I had a lot of fun, and we covered a lot. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, wait a minute before you go. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right. See? I want to show you this now that a lot of this is dried. Isn't that cool? I love how this has turned out. And all those glue globs behind the starfish, you aren't seeing those at all. Love that glue. All right, guys. Guys, joyous, joyous coloring. Joyous coloring. Thank you so much for being here. Love on each other, guys. Be kind. I know you are. And I will see you tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Love you guys. Take care. And you now know how to color metal and silver in grayscale. All right, guys. Take it easy. Bye.